quickly this coronavirus is moving. A decision that previously might have taken 4 weeks or 5 weeks for people to ponder through and think through. They're just saying, this is important. What do we need to do to be home? Have our teams work from home by Friday? And it may not be the optimal solution from a technical perspective. A decision that previously might have get it done. So, and in that rush, and you can see why people are rushing. It's for good reason. I know our team is seeing about a 50% increase in support calls at the moment. That is largely due to organisations saying we're going to be working from home as of tomorrow. Expect a lot of calls to help us figure it out. Not a lot of planning and around, hey, how do we do this the best way, with the least bumps? It's just get it done. And so that are on this call, look, thank you for your patience, because it's been a very trying couple of weeks. And everyone's in the same boat here, right? So everyone's doing their very best to be productive from home and have their teams continue to deliver the services. So.
Well, that's right. I mean, you guys had to go remote as well. So that's another, and how do you work out, the different teams and everything and how you stay together? What sort of tools are you using, by the way, for you guys to kind of stay, communicative, I guess?
Yeah, so for us, we had our business continuity plan involved us being able to work from home for quite a while now. So, we've got managed voice services in the cloud. All our call tool sets are in the cloud. And we're using Microsoft Office 365, so we use Teams exhaustively. We've got a number of channels in Teams around, client changes, so we can track who's doing what very quickly. Internal comms around support tickets or support requirements or change requests. And that's really critical for us. I think we are doing a lot of FaceTime, using Teams, trying to keep up that social interaction. Just been able to see a colleague's face and say, hey, we're both working on this particular problem. Where are you up to, where I'm up to, and just coordinate. It's very different, but it works very well. But that is a bit of a mind shift to kick that off and get that going well.
Yeah. I mean, let's just get into one of the major topics as to why we're hosting this live is also, so people have moved quite quickly with very little or no planning. They've just kind of had to make the decision because we're all forced, right? It's like if you fall off the yacht or something, you're sailing a yacht. If you are sailing a yacht and you fall over, your survival instincts, right? You've got to kick in and work out what do you need to do to get back onto the yacht. And so I guess, what about, internet connections? What about security on the data? And I guess more importantly, if people are using some of their personal devices, because not everyone, most people have laptops and mobile devices these days, but not everyone has that. And I know with one of our thing, what we were ended up doing, phones and also laptops were encrypted. Because if anyone lost anything and it was, and we wanted to be able to delete it remotely. So can you just shed some light on that? Like, there's quite a bit of change. Okay, we move on. We just open a laptop and connect to the internet. It's a bit more than that.
It's a great question, Rod, and it's a very broad question. So I think one concept that's really key to understanding this is when we think about security in technology, it's not, here are all the things that we're doing, and then we've got this security thing. Security needs to be woven through all of our practices. So when we're in the office, what are the the security protocols we need to follow? When we're out on site providing services, what do we follow there? So security gets woven into our day-to-day practices, rather than it being a standalone, discipline. So what we're seeing, there's a couple of basics which most organisations have pretty much down pat, and they will assist in keeping security tight during this period. And that is really having two-factor authentication turned on for any cloud services, and being very thoughtful about passwords. Those two things alone will really help protect people accessing your cloud data, which can be done from any device these days. So they haven't changed, and our our strong recommendation is, if you're not communicating to your workforce about, make sure your passwords are strong and you haven't got two-factor authentication in place, just needs to happen.
So that's something, just to interrupt. So if you're talking about an organization that's maybe listening or whatever, that's something they need to address straight away.
Yeah, correct. If you don't have two-factor authentication in place today, get it done. Reach out and get it done. So that's really key. Having strong passwords is really key. And technically we can turn on this thing called complex passwords, which means that you can't put in a password unless it's got an uppercase letter and a lowercase letter and it's 10 characters long and you're using a symbol. But the reality is you can still meet all those complexity requirements and still have a very poor password. You can have password $123
and uppercase. But
then hackers get that very quickly. And if I think through the breaches that we're responding to security breaches probably every month or two at the moment, and literally 90% of the security breaches are happening because of poor passwords.
Yeah, you hear that with a lot of IT companies when you talk to their help desks or whatever. It's someone's done password 123 or hello or it's their name with the year 2020 or something at the end or something silly.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but why that's really important at the moment is that the harsh reality is, we're sliding into recession, possibly depression. Lots of debate about that at the moment. And what we saw with the global financial crisis was, as soon as organizations are more vulnerable, cybercrime increases considerably. And I have no doubt over the next 3 to 4 months, we're going to see a significant increase in cyber attacks. So security needs to be paramount. And it's difficult because people are thinking about, just keep my staff safe, help us get off homes, provide services. We completely get that, and that needs to be obviously the first consideration. But as soon as you're starting down that path and people are getting settled and you're providing services, you need to harden down a little bit from a security perspective.
So we've talked a lot about passwords.
Yep.
What other form of security?
So there's one theme that we're seeing happen a lot at the moment. So password security and two-factor authentication, fantastic. But if you think about the scenario that's occurring now, people are going home and working from home. And the security of the device they're using to access company resources becomes really key. So you can have two-factor authentication and strong passwords, but if the device you're using that has access to, say Office 365, because most of our clients are using that, if that device has access to Office 365 and that device is vulnerable to viruses or malicious software, then you put your data at risk.
Right.
So what we're, for all of our clients...
Sorry. No one would have thought of that. You open up your computers and at work you were all secure and everything, and now you're just logging in and you think logging in remotely to your, I don't know, you got most of the clients use Citrix or whatever, but if you log onto your thing, you think that connection is secure, but the device is not actually secure.
Correct. Yeah. So, and let me give you a few examples here. There's a few things that need to be avoided at all costs. And the reason that we've been highlighting to our clients is organizations have the ability to act in these ways without necessarily getting authority or permission from ourselves. They're just getting stuff done and perhaps putting themselves in situations where they might be compromised. So in every case where possible, we advise that if your staff are working from home, work from a work computer. If it's a computer that's been issued by your company, our team will have management software on there. We'll manage the security patching process. We'll manage the antivirus process. We'll make sure that there's no viruses or malicious software on that device that could spread or get back to the corporate environment. So if you can give your team a company issued device that's managed by human IT, please do it. It's really key. If for whatever reason you can't, and it's not practical to go out and buy another 20 or 30 machines to give to people, people are opting to have their staff use their personal computers. And it makes sense. You can see why they do that. It's just it makes sense. So what we're seeing a lot of is some organizations, some staff going home using a personal computer and loading up, say, Office 365 on that computer. So yes, they've got strong passwords, and even if they've got two-factor authentication, fantastic. But as soon as, for example, you're synchronizing data from Office 365 down to your computer, if you have a virus or a crypto virus where it encrypts files, you could be encrypting that synchronized copy of data, which gets synchronized back to your organization. So security protocols are great, but you really need to protect that device. And last week, we released a simple 2-page document on reach out to us if you've got staff that are doing that, so that we can put some antivirus protection on that PC. We can take care of the patching process. They're the two key things. If we mitigate those two risks, it's highly likely that the device itself will be pretty clear of malicious software, and will reduce the risk of getting compromised.
Yeah.
So
another question. Sorry. What about backups? Do we need to back up devices? Or was that another topic?
Another topic. I think the need for backup hasn't changed. So whether it's working from home or in the office, if you've got Office 365, that should be backing up to a separate data center. All of that stays in place.
Okay.
I think if staff are saving information to a different location, so for example, if they are working on a home PC and saving documents to a home PC,
like a desktop.
That becomes an issue. So we should be absolutely discouraging that behavior. So staff should be very clear on, well, where do I save my information that is secure and that is getting backed up? Because we don't know how long we're going to be working from home, right? If it's a week, you might say, well, it's only a week, and if we lose a week's of data, no big deal. Other organizations would say that's completely unacceptable. But the reality is we could be working from home, at this stage. Who knows? It could be up to the end of June before the world changes again. So, backups is important. And I think along with, anyone who's watching this conversation, give our team a call, just ask the questions. No such thing as a stupid question. What we're trying to do from our side is understand what are all the scenarios which our clients are now creating to enable them to work, and then what are the security considerations we need to think of. Separate to helping them mobilize and helping them be productive, we need to keep everyone secure. So there's a couple of practices that I really want to call out. The first one is, make sure you're using a work device. If not, give us a call and let us explore with you what it looks like and how you can safely, or as safe as possible, use a home computer. If you're using Office 365 or G Suite, for example, it's really key that you've got up-to-date antivirus protection and you're doing security patching on those home PCs. And I wouldn't rely on your staff to do that for you. While it's not a hugely complex thing, the reality is you want visibility across all your stuff, all those personal computers on, well, which ones are compromised. And if it does get compromised, how quickly will we know, and how quickly can we nip it in the bud? So don't rely on staff to say, yep, my antivirus is fine. I paid the renewal last year. That's great. It doesn't mean it's actually working, right? And likewise with Windows updates, you can turn on Windows updates and let it just go and update itself. Doesn't mean it will do so without issue. So you really need visibility on, hang on, are all the PCs that are accessing our company resources, are they protected? And if they're not, you need someone, an alarm that goes off, for example, which is the case for human IT, where we can say, well, that PC we know has just got a virus. Let's disconnect it, clean the virus, whatever it is. The dangers around Office 365 and G Suite are significant. And it's quite easy for people to go home and get them set up on their personal computer. But as I said before, if you're synchronizing data, if you go to your SharePoint drive and you're going, great, this is where we store our client information. If you make that offline and synchronized to your computer, any data that gets compromised on your computer then will get synchronized back up for everybody else.
That's terrible.
So that's a real risk which needs to be avoided. We were asked during the week, well, what if I don't synchronize my data? What if I'm just accessing Office 365, or G Suite through a browser? Well, that's better. But again, if you've got malicious software on your computer that you're unaware of, that can be capturing usernames and passwords. So you could inadvertently be handing over usernames and passwords to your corporate environment.
I've seen many of those.
It's going to bite you.
The browser tab things, they try to install themselves and everything like that. You don't know what they're taking over.
Yeah, correct. So that's still a risk. So don't think, we're not synchronizing data, therefore we're safe. If you're using a browser to access Office 365 on a public computer, that's how we'd view a staff's personal computer, there are risks that are associated with that. So again, we're not saying don't do it. We're saying if you need that functionality, give us a call so we can put our own antivirus software on there. We can put our own patching processes in place. We can monitor that and give you a heads up if we see a risk.
On a client of yours, do you have like a checklist or something? You mentioned quite a few things. Do you have a checklist or something you can send them if we have any questions? Maybe they can inbox you or inbox me. Is there something we can send them?
Yeah, so we issued a 2-page document, I think on Tuesday this week, which speaks about these topics. We don't want to be too prescriptive and say here are the checklist of items you need to have, because every organisation is different. What we've done in the document is call out, here's our position on securing access to your resources if you've got staff working from home on a non-company managed device. And then we've highlighted 3 scenarios which should be avoided at all costs, one of which is that Office 365 access. And maybe we can perhaps attach the document to this conversation, or send people a link, because I know everyone's very busy at the moment. So while we have sent out an email, I know not everyone's read it or had time to digest it. So if you're concerned, just give us a call. I'm highly available, and I'm going to be spending most of this week and last week having these sorts of conversations with clients.
So that email probably just went to your clients or something, did it?
It did. Yep. Yeah, clients.
All right. Well, if you do have something, it'd be good to have it sort of available. But otherwise, they can go and even ask their own IT companies if they've got one, but to make sure that everything's getting done properly. Because it is a trying time. I think we're so distracted by the things that are happening, worrying about your family and your own well-being, and if you've got older parents, and it actually doesn't matter who it is. It's just a very testing times, and I think the next few weeks, hopefully, we're all flattening that curve. And I actually strongly believe that if we can all get through this, business, yes, there's a recession, but there is a lot of work out there, and even on LinkedIn, you see the amount of conversations. I don't know how your feed's going, but there's so much encouragement, so much support. I definitely think people will, bind together and make it bigger. You might see more collaborations, So, is there anything else you wanted to just say in closing off? And I'll just see if there's any other questions. I've got like 3 streams going, so.
Fine. I think look, the document, Rod, that we circulated to clients, you've got a copy. You can circulate that to anyone that's on this call, whether they're working with other IT companies or not. There's no company secrets in that. This is very much our approach to this situation, with some just calling out, here are some things that you should not do, and have a conversation with us, if you're in that situation. So, by all means, let's share that with whoever's in need of it. They can take that back to their own IT companies and start that conversation if they haven't. But I suppose in closing, I think there's the other 2 things which I probably want to highlight is around, separate to the Office 365. Some of our clients have VPNs in place, virtual private network between their devices and the company resources. It's great, again, from a company-owned device, where that device is managed. As soon as you put a VPN on a personal computer, what you're doing is essentially creating a tunnel between that personal computer and your office space, and it bypasses your firewall. So people may not realize that if you're using a VPN on an insecure device, it's a virtual private network. So,
my gosh, I've been out of the game so long, I've forgotten what VPN is.
So and that's quite commonly used, and people think it's and the actual VPN is itself secure. But again, if it's coming from a device which is potentially compromised, it creates a risk.
So it's just like someone peeking over you when you're at the ATM. They can see you typing in the number, but everything from there to the bank is secure. It's just that if someone's actually watching you, or
correct.
Yeah,
cool. Correct. And likewise, there's some practices around accessing a Citrix environment or a remote desktop environment, which a lot of organizations are using. And there's a thought process that is, well, if I can access that from any computer and it's safe. And in some cases, yes, and in many cases, no. And so again, if you're in that situation, reach out, give us a call, and let us just explore with you how safe is it or is it not. The best outcome here is at the end of a 20-minute conversation, we go, yep, well, things are pretty safe the way they are. Or we identify that, no, you've got 2 or 3 or 4 staff that perhaps are using personal computers that need some help to be secure. Much better to do that now than to wait till June and say, well, hang on, we just got compromised. And then you're dealing with another. We've all got enough emergencies to deal with.
Correct. This is, I mean, I think the great thing is we've been able to, mobilize so quickly and work remotely so quickly. But the last thing we want is to not think of things. I mean, even with us, I mean, we just went, oh yeah, it's all fine. And then we started looking at, as I said, that if that device gets stolen, we kind of thought of it when the bushfires were happening, actually, because someone works closer to the bushfire things. And if they had to evacuate straight away and left their devices and whatever, and someone picked it up, we're like, well, if they just opened the laptop and there was no, they couldn't delete the data as soon as it turned on or something like that. We were kind of like, oh, well, that's going to compromise everything. Because again, we do use tools like LastPass and everything, but people can still save passwords and do all sorts of things. And so, it's interesting that hopefully these times help us all become a bit more secure and a bit aware of how systems are set up, and work with you guys at Human IT to kind of, if they need some help, just do a quick little audit. I think you mentioned 20 minutes or so, or whatever it is. Have a chat at least. Otherwise, go to the IT providers, find out what's happening. We can give them the checklist. But I know we did send this to a lot of your clients, so to join us on the live. And so, I hope all your clients are. We've had quite a few people come on and off the live, so we've been running on Facebook and LinkedIn, and also on your website. So hopefully, if there's any other questions, I'll pop some information on the post after we post this, and I think let's get in touch. And nice chatting to you, Ian, by the way. It's really good to.
Yeah.
You have got a beautiful setting over there.
I'm very sitting on the deck. So I feel a bit guilty sometimes. I know my team are working inside a lot, so I try to do my video conferencing inside where it looks as boring as their rooms as well. But
thanks. Mine looks like I'm doing mine. If it's on Zoom, you can put that virtual background and make it look like you're anywhere.
Exactly, you're in San Francisco.
That's it. All right. Thanks, Ian. Thanks, everyone, for watching. And we'll probably try and do this again similar time next week on another topic. I'll catch you guys later.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks, Rod.
See ya. Thanks, Ian.